when we started looking more deeply, the only Asian friend who joined us, when he heard us talking, that there must be more to life. There must be more to life. And he said, Islam is for mankind. The final prophet came for mankind. And he bought me a Quran. Red hardback copy, Yusuf Pictal translation, he bought me it. Now, when I got that book, I opened it, and something amazing happened. This was the final transformation for me. I sat at home and opened from the first page. And when I read what is known as the opening in English, Surah Al-Fatiha, my heart shook. And I'm not just saying this for emotional reasons. When I saw the words, all praise is for Allah, Lord of the worlds, and then the rest of the surah, I said to myself, this is God. I went back to Christianity, looking at what happened there, having to pray to Mary, having to pray to Jesus, not being directed to God. The Bible talking about different things, and this verse, the first verse, saying about all praises are to Allah. And I read this, then I looked at other verses. When Surah Fatiha was saying to me, all praise is for Allah, God, Lord of all the worlds, the most merciful, the most gracious, Master, King of the Day of Judgment. The next verse now shook with me, where it said, you alone do we worship, and you alone do we seek help from. And this for me smashed everything off my path from Christianity. Praying to Mary, praying to Jesus, going to the priest in the church. You alone do we worship. Iyaka na'budu. You alone do we come to for help. Iyaka nasta'een. Then I saw the guidance part, what I'd been seeking all my life. Show us the straight path. Not just, and then after that, the path upon those whom you have shown your blessings. Not the path of those who have earned your anger or who have gone astray. Now when I read that verse there, when I read that chapter, I shut the Quran. I put it on the top shelf. My friends, later on they calling me. What's wrong, T, what's up? I said, this book. I said, what about it? My Asian friend said to me, what about it? I said, this wasn't written by a man, was it? He goes, no. He goes, that's right. T, that's right. We believe, Muslims believe, these are the words of God, of Allah. And I said, they must be, because no man could write this.
In the name of Allah, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise is due to Allah, Lord of the worlds. Maliki Yawmiddin, the Master of the Day of Judgment. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. You alone we worship, you alone we ask for help. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. Show us the straight path. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Show us the straight path. It's the path of those you have favored, not the path who earn your anger, not the path of those who go astray.
When I saw other chapters, and this again, remember, no one came and spoke to me about Islam. My friend didn't speak to me about Islam. They were listening to us. We were seeking, what do we do? What do we do? We need guidance. There must be more to this world than this. Then I saw Surah Ikhlas. Say He is Allah the One. Not the three. Say He is Allah the One, the Eternal, the Absolute. He begets not, nor was He begotten, and there's none like unto Him.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful.
قل هو الله أحد.
Say, He is Allah, who is one.
الله الصمد.
Allah, the eternal refuge.
لم يلد ولم يولد.
He neither begets nor is born.
ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Nor is there to Him any equivalent.
For me, who had been raised as a Christian, for me that surah, that chapter, well, that was it. Fatiha, this, talking about the creation, the rest of the Quran saying what it was saying, talking about the Day of Judgment, everything like that. But you know what? The thing that still, I read all of that, and I still didn't take the step to become a Muslim. And then one night my friend came round my house, my close Cody, Big T, Aslam, and he said, you know, some of the younger lot, the younger crew, BBS, you know, some of them went and became Muslim the week before. I said, yeah, but they're listening to the rap music and they're following the rap music and they're hearing all this stuff about that. I said, I'm not down with that. Some of them are becoming Ansar Allah and white man's the devil and stuff like that, Nation of Islam. I'm not down with all of that. He said, no, I'm talking about Islam, submission to God. I said, nah, I'm cool where I am. I've seen what religion has done. He then said to me, do you believe in the Day of Judgment? I said, you know, we've always believed in the Day of Judgment. Then he asked me the next question, which I wasn't able to answer. He said, okay, you believe in the Day of Judgment. What are you going to say to God on the Day of Judgment on why you didn't commit to Him? I went really quiet. I got a bit upset with him because that was a question I couldn't answer. He said to me, okay, I hear what you're saying, T. I'm going to the mosque tomorrow. I'm taking my Shahada. I'm going to become a Muslim. Now, we heard about Shahada. We didn't know what Shahada meant, but he said, I'm going to become Muslim. And I let him go. He went and let himself out. I stayed in my chair, in my home. I did not move. Didn't go to the bathroom. Didn't do anything. My girlfriend, my fiance, came down, looked over the stairs. She just saw me sitting there. No drugs in my hands. No alcohol in my glass. No listening to music. She came back down the next morning, Sunday morning, and saw me still sitting in the chair. I hadn't slept. Then I looked at her and I said, I've got to go. And she knew what I meant. I went and had a shower. I didn't know where any mosque was. I'd never been to a mosque. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew somewhere down here there is a mosque. Because I'd met a brother and sister. I saw two Muslims one day in Tooting. And I'm going to digress a bit. And the behaviour of those Muslims. I saw the ticket man being rude to the woman, fully covered, wearing the veil, niqab and everything. And the brother was just being, the man was being very righteous, very calm. And I was vexed with that. I went up to the ticket man, how can you talk to religious people like this? I was ready to bang him up. But the brother, the Muslim man was calm. He goes, thank you, my friend. Don't worry. It's under control. I respect that. And I just looked at him. I didn't have any connection with him. And I said to myself, I asked him, I said, where do you go? And he said, I go to a place near Brixton police station. There's a new mosque there. So jumping back now, when I was jumping on the bus to go down to become a Muslim, I remembered what he said to me. I didn't know where any mosques were. So I got on the bus. Clean. No alcohol, nothing. Didn't know what I was actually going to do, but knowing that the Day of Judgment, that same question, what am I going to say to God on the Day of Judgment, looking at my life? What am I going to say? Got on the bus. It was funny because another one of my brethren from the posse, the younger group, he jumped on the bus and he looked a bit worried, and he said to me, I looked worried, and I said to him, where are you going? He goes, where are you going? I said, no, where are you going? He goes, no. I said, okay, I'm going to become a Muslim. He goes, so am I. For the rest of that journey, the 5-mile journey, we didn't speak. There wasn't excitement, high five, we were just quiet. I was thinking, my life is going to change. And I want it to work this time. Not like when I became a Christian, a born again Christian, and then jumped out of it because it was fake. I didn't like what they're saying, worship Jesus and everything. So we got to the mosque now, we found it. As we were going in, normal place, saw normal people like me. I looked at them, said I want to become a Muslim. They smiled, they said okay, come upstairs. He came upstairs. My brethren, Big T, Aslam from yesterday, he was there. So we all sat down, the three of us, in the main prayer area, they asked us, do you know about the articles of faith? Do you believe in Allah, the angels, Day of Judgment? So when I went up and saw people wearing thobes, everything like that, I didn't know what was going to happen. When they said Shahada, I didn't know it was like an initiation ceremony. I'm going to have to run around in my underwear, hang out of the window. I didn't know. I was paranoid in that sense. So they sat down and they said, you're going to say these words slowly after us, and then we're going to tell you what it is that you've said. So then they said it, and I struggled a bit. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. Now I struggled, and they said it again. I said it. They said, you've just said the heaviest words you're going to say in this life and the hereafter. I bear witness, I testify that there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his final slave and messenger. Some of them tuck beard. I saw grown men, hardened men, start crying. And I haven't seen men cry. I've not seen men cry before. From when I was a youth, never saw men cry. I saw these big men crying. Then they came and embraced me, embracing me, hugging me, everything. And they said, welcome to the brotherhood, the ummah of Islam. Now, we went downstairs to make wudu, and they explained about wudu, the ablution and the sins falling off, but I'd need to have a shower when I go home and everything like that. Then the adhan went. Now, I've mentioned there was 2 times I heard the adhan, in the music of the rappers and from the horror movies. But I remembered it from the horror movies, like The Exorcist and everything, and I froze. I said, what's that, what's that, what's that? And they said to me, what's wrong? I said, I heard this when I was growing up, in the horror movies, what is it? So then when they explained to me in English, Allah is great, Allah is great. You know, there's none worthy of worship except Allah twice. Muhammad is the messenger of Allah twice. Come to prayer, come to prayer, come to success. Allah is great, Allah is great, none deserves to be worshipped except him. And I realized that what had been fed to me as a child in these horror movies was to make me hate Islam, was to make me afraid of Islam. And when they explained those words to me, I love those words so much. That's why I'm living in Saudi Arabia, or in a Muslim country, that I hear this adhan 5 times a day. That is the life of my soul. That is the thing that reminds my soul of who I am. So now music was replaced. Music was replaced by a deen that filled me spiritually, physically, mentally. It completed everything. I didn't have to have this conflict between doing good and bad or anything like this anymore. And then I will conclude with this. When we came upstairs to pray, and I stood and I bowed and I went into sujood, into prostration, my body, my mind, my spirit, how I felt is that I'm now worshipping my Lord properly for the first time in my life. Him alone, Allah alone, my body, the humility of my prostration to him. Now today, as we look, everyone's looking at fashion and how they dress and everything. I thank Allah that I've got this prostration mark on my head from prayer, not to be shown off or anything. And some say, oh, don't you want to put cream on and cosmetics to blend your face, and don't you want to modify your photographs and everything? No, no, I worship Allah. The greatest thing that I have done in this life, and that I continue to do, even though Allah has blessed me to have a good career, even though I've got my MBA in education, even though I have a PhD, none of this will count in this life or the hereafter if I am not a servant of Allah, worshipping him in his oneness, in his tawheed. And after I did that first prayer, the way I felt to where I feel now, it cannot be replaced.